Hello, everybody, and welcome to these streams that I promised. We are reporting from Potsdam, Germany, from the Agile Testing Days Conference 2024. And I am really happy to tell you that I am walking into lots of friends, awesome figures in the testing realm and worlds and multiverses or something like that.
Yes.
And right now, my first interviewee of the day is our amiga Karen Test Stuff.
Yes,
Karen,
Karen Test
Karen,
stuff.
I do it the
It's
Spanish thing.
close.
Hello, Karen, how are you?
I'm doing lovely. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be back here in Unicorn Land with all of my lovely friends.
Yeah, there are a lot of friends, imaginary behind us and real ones. Awesome people all over the place. And well, I want to dive into stuff because I have a feeling this conversation is going to be interesting and deep and lots of fun stuff. I saw that there were going to be some surprises even for me. So,
Yes.
let's see. But before we keep going, Karen, would you mind sharing a little bit about you, who you are, what do you do,
Yes,
what makes you special?
absolutely. I'm Karen Todd of Karen Tests Stuff. That's how you can find me on most social medias. I am a public speaker and an agile tester for the Agile Testers. I really enjoy spending time with my cat, Liliana of the Dark Realms. If anyone's a Magic the Gathering fan, we can talk.
Nice.
And I also like to describe myself as a chooser of joy. Even in situations that are tough, I believe that we can learn things from it to make our lives better in the future.
I like a lot that perspective and self-description. Well, chooser of joy. It's what's the name? There's a philosophy where you can choose how you react.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know the
Um,
name of the philosophy, but
you know which
I
one I'm
live
talking about?
I live by that, where when you always have the choice, like when life gives you hard circumstances, you can choose to become a kinder person or you can choose to become vicious. And I always choose kindness. And that fosters joy for me.
That's really, really important because there are always going to be situations in life. I know, let's think of the richest person and the poorest person, and you have an intermediate situation. For one might be heaven, for the other might be hell, and it depends on you. I like a lot that perspective. It's really cool. And Karen, as well, I know you are a big advocate and you like communities and you like, can you tell us a little bit more? Why is that? And how did you start
Yes.
it on that?
I am the weirdest introvert ever. I love people.
I feel you.
It just takes me a lot of energy to connect with people sometimes. So something that I do, especially at conferences like Agile Testing Days, is I bring little trinkets with me to help make connections with people.
Mm.
It's part of what I love about the EDM, the electronic dance music community, where we make these bracelets and
Ah.
when we meet new people, new friends at concerts, we trade them back and forth so that we each take a little piece of each other home with us. So I
Nice.
bring these things with me to conferences and give them
Ah,
out to people. And you'll start to
cool.
notice after you have one, you'll start seeing other people that have bracelets from me. And that's an additional way to connect with people.
Oh, so I'm gonna be. Let me get this wrapped up because it has to be live, and yeah, I
Yes.
gotta join the movement. And mine says dance, even though I'm not the best dancer, but
Well, but does it bring you joy?
yeah, it's an interesting situation. Depending on the type of dance, there are
Okay.
some that you know the Macarena. That's very standard set of steps.
Yes, yes.
That one is kind of like yeah, right away it's like oh, that like Macarena and the
Yeah.
stuff. And but when it's like very, I don't know, spontaneous, I like processes and stuff. So like
See, and I like the spontaneity because even when I eat something that's tasty, sometimes I'll do a little dance in my
oh,
chair
that
just
that's
because I'm
another one.
happy.
Yeah, it's a wiggly bomb that I get when I'm like, oh my god, this is really really good.
Yes.
I get that one. But okay, um, community dance aside, because yeah, that's not a
Yes.
very strong
Oh,
suit.
but when it comes to being an advocate, that's something that also comes from the electronic dance music community because there's this element called it's an acronym called PLUR, which is
P.
peace, love, unity, and respect. There's a
Oh.
silent one that's also responsibility, where we are all responsible for making sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
Oh.
So make sure that if you see someone who has fallen, help them up. Or if you notice that someone is thirsty, maybe get them some water. If you see that someone's alone, maybe ask them, is it okay if I join you for a moment? Or did you come here to decompress? That's very important, is to ask for that consent. But it's those elements of caring for each other in a community and being advocates not only for others, but also for ourselves. Make sure that our needs are being met, make sure that we're listening to our body, taking care of our, getting enough sleep, making sure that we're getting those basic human needs met, so that we
Hmm.
can continue our work and our play.
That's super important. And oh my God, I'm overflown with questions because plur and with it's not so silent. Sounds to me a little like a purr, like from a cat.
Yes.
Plur, Spanish R. Sorry. Uh, but I think it's really important, and I didn't know that the electronic dance music stage. You can tell I'm very foreign, so that
Oh
I'm like,
no, you're okay.
but it sounds very appealing, and the principles of respecting and giving love, and I'm digging it.
It's a community for all, young and old, anybody, male, female, or anyone else, non-binary folks. Everybody is welcome. It's one of those communities where, as long as you're a kind person, you'll receive kindness in return.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's and it's interesting because there are so many oops areas, spaces, and communities, I would call it, where you
Mhm.
don't know when that kindness is needed or when
Yes. Yes.
always give it, right? I think
Right.
it's really important.
Yeah, and it translates to my testing as well. Because as testers, we have so much empathy for users, for the software that we're working on, for the people that we're working with sometimes. It really translates into having the advocacy that we have as testers, where we advocate for bug fixes, we advocate for our users, for their experience, we advocate for the quality of our product. But my question that actually spawned my YouTube channel was, who advocates for us?
Hmm.
So we have to find each other and support each other. If we can't get that at work or in our team or anywhere else, our network can help support us and get us through tough situations that maybe we don't have the answer to a problem, but we know who might be able to help us. And that element of supporting each other within the testing community as well. Plus, we're all a bunch of weirdos. I love testers, and weirdo like calls to like.
Especially testers. Yeah, yeah. I always see. I love that, especially this conference in the Agile
Mm,
Testing Days. I think it's one of the few ones where I see like testers coming up and bringing up what they are. No shame, no,
yes,
all in all their glory
yes.
or our glory, because yeah, I'm part of the peculiar community and doing weird stuff. So
Hey, you're welcome to wear a suit coat jacket, or you're welcome to wear rainbow socks.
I love the
You
socks,
come as you
colorful.
are.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you're
And
accepted here. That's what I love about Agile Testing Days. I've been to so many conferences this year in Europe, and there are a lot of really great ones out there. But this is hands down my favorite place on earth.
this is my first time, and I am gladly surprised. In Europe, I was last year in the Chicago one. I think I saw you there.
Yes, I
We
was there
were,
as well.
but the vibe is bigger here. I feel it
Yes,
like
this is the mothership. Yes.
full of unicorns and special. Everything is special here. I am a bit surprised and
Mm.
slightly overwhelmed. I feel you on the introvert side, and I'm like, oh my god, it's awesome, but it's so awesome. I'm like, and jet lag here and all sorts of things that,
You have to take breaks. You have to build in
yeah,
rest for yourself. And that's the other good thing about this conference, is that no one will judge you for taking breaks.
yeah,
They will celebrate you for taking care of yourself.
and it's very much like you say with the plur situation.
Yes.
There's respect if you need it. There's love always. A lot of understanding. I see that um, kind of analogy
Hmm.
for here and the movement that you described with the electronic music, because everybody's like tuning. Oh, you need space? Okay, yeah, sure, sure. Oh,
Yes.
good.
Yes, exactly.
But You mentioned a few things that caught my attention, with testers being respectful
Mhm.
and giving empathy, not always
Yes.
receiving it. What are your thoughts on this movement, testers against developers, and always like, yeah, I created the fake.
Ooh. Ooh, that's a good one because I did a talk about this subject in Sweden this year with my friend Stacy Clouds. Hi, Stacy.
Oh, hola, Stacy.
We did a developers and testers, the yin and yang of software development,
Love the
where
title.
yeah, it takes both of us.
Yeah.
There are people who need to create the things, and then there are people who have the curious side where what boundaries can we push? How can we make this even better? How can we shape this creation? Because it's not just the developers that are writing the code, it's also the testers who are giving influence on, well, there's this thing that should be considered during the planning stages before coding even starts, or there are this subset of users that have we considered their needs, and like accessibility
Mhm.
ideas and things like that, or security concerns. We all bring our own specialty to the world of software development, and it's really important that we see each other not as competition or adversaries, but we are working towards the same solution, the same goal. It's that developers want to build working software, and testers want to be sure that that software is able to be used by the widest variety of people so that the developer's work can be celebrated. So that's just a couple of ways that I like to bring people together over this conversation.
It's and when you mentioned the yin yang, it got me smiling because as well in the yin yang you have like the little two columns things getting together, but inside there's as well an element of the other side,
Yes.
which I very much think that developers should try to embrace a little bit of testers and vice
Yes.
versa. Testers should embrace a little and collaborate, coexist,
Yes.
cooperate. We're all a team. We're not enemies. That principle, I kind of like bait you because I knew that you were gonna go a little bit over that side. I don't like the perspective of dogs and cats testers and
Mm.
developers. It's There's no empathy there,
Yes.
and I think it's really important. I have a feeling it's important for you.
Yes, it is. And there's also something else that came to me that was inspired by one of the keynotes that was done here last year at Agile Testing Days. Lena and Sam did a keynote about developers and testers, and how, yes, we are different, but it's because of the risk mindsets that we have, where developers have a different set of risks that they're thinking of, that they're concerned with, that are important to their work, and then testers have their own set of risks that they're worried about, that's important for them to be successful. So that little dot in each side of the yin and the yang, is kind of keeping those risk mindsets, keeping awareness of those risk mindsets, that yes, the developer knows that the tester is going to be testing for this specific thing like security, because the tester has communicated that with them beforehand,
Mhm.
and the tester is well aware of what the developer is working on, because they have once again heard that communication from their end, that no one's on an island in this case. There are cases where there's still a lot of barriers between those teams, especially if you're not working on a combined team. If
Mhm.
you're just working in a group of testers, or for God forbid, on your own as a tester. So there are still techniques that you can use to bridge those gaps, but that all involves people skills.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So it's funny because many of us in the tech world, I am going again with the introvert element. I describe myself at times like a golem. Golem,
Ah,
golem,
yes,
give me my precious, give me my code.
yes,
Some tests, automations that I have to do, throw it at my basement. Please not talk to people and
yeah,
just. But you bring a very good um, element. We have to take into consideration what are the developers looking for and what the testers are looking for, because yeah, when you don't think that the developers are also like suffering, they want to go home, just the
yes,
code works, please, it works somehow, I don't know, but please don't give me a hard time, and vice versa.
yes,
um, my automations work, let me just run them. And
yeah.
when we both understand that empathy of both sides and work as a team, I like you imply the shift left a little bit, like in advance. Let them
Yeah,
know what you're gonna be looking for.
exactly. I'm not a huge fan of buzzwords because not everyone knows what they mean.
Yeah.
So I like to explain the concepts more in human language than just throwing around, oh, you have to work in agile, you have to shift left, you have to embrace all of these terms.
The Powertron 3000 element of the
Right. But I'm more on the side of practical advice, like, reaching out to the person who sometimes sits alone, or, bringing business people, my favorite, bringing business people into the development process. Give
Oh,
them the feature that you're working on and tell them to act as a certain type of customer and have them explore the process as they think that customer would, and then you get such great insight because these people know how something should work from a business side, how it will bring business value, and they're often much closer to the customer. So it's really fun to get those people involved and on your side, because when you can show value to the business as a tester, they're much more likely to listen to your ideas.
it's interesting because you're completing like a triple element yin yang, or because yeah, the business is another component that if we don't pay attention to, well, they are the ones who pay the bills, and if they don't have like involvement or understanding for what we're doing, we're just gonna be noise and like an annoyance to
Yes.
them, right?
Yes, or unfortunately, in this day and age, with so many layoffs happening, you become
Mm.
kind of the low hanging fruit if you don't show your value. So it's really about being transparent and having that communication skill to be able to relay your work and the importance of the work that you're doing that might help give it a boost.
Yeah, because in general, we'll be like with a layoff or a moment like, yeah, we need to cut heads. Like that Karen, what does she do?
Yeah.
Let's see, just get. No, it's important that you also are a person to them.
Yes.
You're people, not just
Yes.
names and numbers and random.
Exactly.
And well, I'm gonna circle back a little bit to your YouTube endeavor, and that you were kind of trying
Yeah.
to bring this. I don't want to call them principles after yesterday's
Yeah.
Paul's presentation, or um, best practices. No, but how was your start with YouTube? How was your, like you mentioned, like, hey, yeah, I want to help in these situations. I
Mhm.
want, but can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit more about that journey when you were like, open your Superman or Supergirl and say like, yeah, I'm gonna help people through YouTube. How did that happen?
Sure. What I did at first was I created one very short video where I just asked that question that, we advocate for everything, who advocates for us? And that one short video prompted so many people to reach out to me that I started doing one-on-one interviews with people about what advocacy meant to them or how they were advocating for things in their work.
Huh.
And so I've got a whole series of interviews with people like Beth Marshall, Simon Tomes, big community names in software testing, and that it's like every time I had a conversation with someone else, it spawned more questions, because of course everyone has their own passions, their own
Yeah.
things that they care for, that they want to share with the world.
Different perspectives.
Exactly. And so I would gain new insight every time. And that just kind of grew into the beautiful construct that Karen Test stuff is now.
Mhm.
So now I do a little bit more work on sharing my authenticity. So sharing what I'm working on, what I'm learning, my mental health journey, different things like that, to encourage people to reach out to each other and make those connections.
Mhm.
Because we as humans, even introverts, need socialization.
Yeah.
We need human connection, even if it's only with one or two people that we trust.
Yeah.
We have to find those people, and that's my biggest encouragement that I try to give is find your people. Especially, like I said, if you're a tester that's working alone on a team, there's a huge community of people out there on social media, in person, at local meetup groups, everything. They're there. You just have to do a little work to put yourself out there and find them.
Yeah,
So,
because there are different stages and how to call it positions that you may be more comfortable with
yeah.
different people situations. If you find them, it's important to, well, keep them at your healthy distance, how you feel better, both
Yes.
everyone happy and um, with the plur principle.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm very curious. What what learnings did you get or got transmitted around this mental health and all those journeys? Because I feel they are not paid that much attention, and I'm
Yeah.
curious how. If I remember well, you relocated uh,
Oh,
recently,
yes, yes. I recently
and that's
moved to
another
Europe.
big part of the situation, right?
Yes, yes. That was another thing where I had to take my own advice, which is something that we all love doing, right? So I had to intentionally find my new communities here in Europe.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of social media, not for the fake look what I achieved kind of thing, but I'm a big fan of social media because of the connections that I have personally found through the people on the other side of the screens. Because sometimes we see social media as being very cold and impersonal, but we're speaking with other human beings. We just
Hmm.
can't see them.
Yeah.
And then, most of the people here at this conference that I know, I met through social media.
Yeah.
And when I came here last year for the first time, I felt like I was already coming home.
Yeah. Did you get like those friendships, digital friendships for years, and suddenly like, oh my god, that's how you look?
Yes, yes. I learned everyone through their screen names and their profile pictures, so I didn't know what many people looked like. And vice versa, because I have an avatar on my social media that I use for most places. But it was so nice to be able to make those connections with people so that even if I don't have the answer to a problem and I need a solution, I know who to go to in my network, who I can ask questions to, who the experts are. If I know someone struggled with something in the past, I can go to them and ask them, how did they overcome this? And then maybe apply it to my life.
Hmm. Wow. And how you apply it to your life, and you were giving now also some sort of advice. It was like
Hmm.
both ways.
Yes.
Which ones on your side are your biggest recommendations, and which ones are the ones that you have learned that are biggest for you from the audience, from the experience?
Oh, dear.
Because I'm sure there's so much around it.
Well, I have a general thing that I've learned through kind of a lot of different trial and error, and not just in one specific field, but it's that how to ask feedback and who to ask feedback from.
Mm.
Because, like, for instance, you can get feedback from a random person on the street about, well, what do you think about my work in software testing? And they're not going to have the context to be able to understand your question and really give good feedback. So you would instead go to maybe a peer or a coworker and ask feedback from them about that specific topic. So it's not just getting the courage to ask for feedback from someone, it's also realizing that you don't have to do anything with that feedback.
Mhm.
Somebody's handing you those 2 cents, and sometimes I'm just going to flip those 2 cents into a fountain. But sometimes I'm going to save that 2 cents and I'll spend it on something that's worthwhile. So I can take the feedback, I can marinate on it, and then decide whether it serves me or not.
That's an interesting. Well, it's tough sometimes to be able to tell the difference. Is this worthy, useful?
Yeah,
Am I gonna slam myself with it,
yeah.
or
And I specifically reference that in reference to things like resume writing,
oh,
because everyone's got their own way to make themselves stand out, and they think that their way is the best way, but it's for themselves.
mm-hmm.
It may not work for you. So when I was job searching for 6 months trying to find my first role, I went through a lot of iterations with my resume, and some things work better in certain contexts, some things work better in other contexts. You have to kind of tailor your resume to each position that you're trying to go for to make sure that you show all of those qualities that they're looking for. But you might get completely different advices from two different people,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe neither of them is right for you.
And there are multiple facets
Hmm.
to this, because can be good for you, could be not the best for you, but good for the situation. Maybe you're
Yeah.
applying to a specific company and like, I'm not anything like that, but I want this job. So, well, let's tailor suit this to this situation. That's an interesting perspective. I've never thought of those different. It reminds me a little bit like the ego id and super id, that you have like
Yes.
different
Yes.
perspectives, right?
You have to listen to all those pieces of you that make up the authentic you.
Hmm.
And that's once again being mindful of yourself, your body, your mind, the way that you work, the way that you learn is very important
Oh
to
yeah,
know. So that's journey of self-discovery is something that's very important to me too.
it works as well a little with your experience. I have a feeling you feel comfortable with the camera
Yeah.
and talking to it, and hello online people, like and subscribe, blah blah blah, all the things. But as well, there are some people that they thrive more like, oh, I like to write blogs, or I
Yes.
like documentation, or I like to be on a stage making a fool of
Yes.
myself. And it we need to be conscious about some of those things. And
Yes.
do you give recommendations specific to some of those
Absolutely.
personality types?
There are ways for everyone to get involved. It's just like with this conference. So, conferences aren't just people watching other people on stage. There's also the organization team. There are volunteers that give their time freely to, make sure that our registration booths are open and that there are contact points for the organization. There are sponsors, so people who come from businesses to allow for the funding for this conference. Then there are the people who come and attend, and then there are the speakers who share their time to teach all of us. And not all of these positions are in the spotlight, but all of them are important to making sure that everyone has a great time and is safe. So it's kind of like that. The same with content creation. If you have something to say, but you're afraid that maybe someone else has already said it, my favorite response to that is that no one has said it in your voice with your experience that you have lived through. We all have different contexts. We may arrive at the same solution, but it's still interesting to know your journey. So, whether that be through written media, through video, through doing workshops or hosting local meetup groups, being involved in your community in any way is very important.
It's and I love that element, like your experience and your way in transmitting. You never know if your specific or interpretative dance or something different that you may do would be more useful for someone. I love that point. Don't be dissuaded to kind of bring what you know. It
Yes.
may have been a story that has been told 10,000 times, but 10,001 is your different special that may click on someone. And
and,
that's
and
really cool.
yeah, and don't be afraid for people to not agree with you, because
There's
even
always going to
if
be.
yes, even if someone doesn't agree with you, that may spark something new for them, a new idea that they haven't considered, and maybe it'll change their mind a little bit, or maybe it'll strengthen their beliefs, which is also a good thing. So we're humans, we're not always going to agree, but it's still good to voice your opinion and put your story out there.
And I think it's also super important. Yes, of course, there will be people that do not agree on the polar opposite side from you, and they're going to be up and down. And but the point is that we get like a full picture perspective.
Yes.
Everybody puts a little grain of sand, or I don't know how to saying in English, but
Yes.
uh, don't be afraid. I love that encouragement that you're doing to people, Karen. And just now to start to ramp down a little bit this conversation,
Oh, are we
do
out of time
you
already?
right? Time flies, right?
Oh,
It feels like almost 30 minutes here. I always like, oh damn, I gotta hurry, checking the time. No, and it feels like we could be speaking for hours, and I look forward to probably we should
I'm sure we will.
put together some other further talks. But I'm very curious about what would be the few recommendations that you will leave for the audience, for posterity, that you will is really really important. I have a feeling it's around community, around
Yes.
your respecting your own personal, but I
Yes.
want to let you kind of give words to the audience.
Oh, let's see.
Tan,
I
tan,
think the
tan.
biggest, the the absolute biggest thing that I can think of is that sense that I touched on earlier of find your people, because it's very important to have a support system around you so that you can continue to learn and grow. And specifically for myself, I surround myself with people that are doing what I want to do. So, kind people, generous people, people who are good at software testing. Because if you surround yourself with people who tear you down and don't lift you up, then there's not an opportunity for growth there. It diminishes you. And I really, really encourage you to find people that you look up to and connect with them. And maybe start with me. Find me on social media. I'm on Blue Sky newly. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me because I have sparkle emojis next to my name.
Nice.
Um, and follow my YouTube content because I strive for authenticity as much as possible, and those authentic human relationships are very important to me. So find your people.
I love it, and I got a little bit of shivers when you were saying it because not everybody clicks with everyone. Don't feel pressure. Don't feel when you
No,
feel it flows. Really, really let it flow.
we're like ice cream. Everybody's their own flavor, and there's so many different flavors because not everyone likes mint chocolate chip.
Yep.
But some people really love mint chocolate chip. So find your mint chocolate chip people.
And there are flavors that pair up really well, and there are
Yes.
some others like ew, I'm not gonna mix, and some others that are like, do you like that mix? Oh yeah, I love it. Like
Yeah, exactly.
all those different situations, and I very much look forward to more of your content, and I would like to invite people. You were already kind of promoting like and subscribe and all that.
Yes.
Where can people like, subscribe, follow you, or keep up with what
Yeah.
you're doing?
I'm Karen Tests stuff everywhere except for LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the only place that I use Karen Todd. So if you do a quick Google search for Karen Tests stuff, you'll find all my social media.
Down here you can, here it is, you can search exactly as you are seeing it on screen and check it out. Now, just to close up, and I'm kind of looking for advice, recommendations, few words on your experience moving to Europe. How
Oh,
has it been?
wow. It's been a growth experience that I don't know that I was actually prepared for.
Wow.
It took me 2 years to get here, and every bit of it was worth it. If you have something that you want, if you're unhappy with something in your life, anything big or small, I want to encourage you that you have the power to make that change because we're adults. We can make our own decisions now. No one's telling us what well, very few people will try to tell us what we have to do. But for the most part, we're left up to our own devices. And that's part of the reason why I choose joy because I have that ability.
That resonates a lot with me, especially right now. But it's, thank you for the words, thank you for the encouragement. You are not bound to your situations. You can always change it, and
Yes.
it's beautiful. Karen, thank you so much for those encouraging words and for sharing so much experience with the audience.
Well, thank the audience for being here.
Yeah, thank you. And well, everybody, this is just the very first talk that we have here at the Agile Testing Days, reporting from Potsdam, Germany. I have a feeling that we will have more special presenters, attendees, community builders, YouTubers. Like, subscribe, all those things. So ring the bell and all the little things. Leave comments. Don't forget to follow Karen, to subscribe, and to reach out on LinkedIn, on all the social networks. Blue Sky as well. I just got mine as well, so let's start that. How they are calling the Exodus into Blue Sky. So, thank you, everybody. Gracias, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll stay tuned because we are gonna be streaming a little bit more interviews today. I'm not sure when jet lag is gonna get on me. It's coming soon. I feel it. So stay tuned. We'll have more adventures today. This is Agile Testing Days 2024 from Potsdam, and this was Karen Test Stuff. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Adios. See you, everybody. We'll be back in a bit.